Good morning children. Welcome to online class today. Children, today we are going to recall the one-word answers from Unit 12, that is Plant Anatomy and Plant Physiology. Okay, this first is Plant Anatomy. Plant anatomy is the study of internal structure and organization of plants. So plant anatomy is the study of internal structure and organization of plants. Okay. Next, the first account of internal structure of plants was published by the English physician Nehemiah Grew. Okay, Nehemiah Grew. So he was called the father of plant anatomy. Nehemiah Grew was the father of, he is known as the father of plant anatomy. So you know what is plant anatomy, isn't it? The study of internal structure and organization of plants. Nehemiah Grew, he was an English physician. The first account of internal structure of plant was published by this English physician. The name of the English physician was Nehemiah Grew. He was called the father of plant anatomy. Okay. Next, which is the structural and functional unit of all living organisms? Cell. Cell is the structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Or plants have cells as the basic unit. Okay. Next, the cells are organized into tissues. Okay. Cells are organized into tissues. Next, what is histology? Okay. Histology is the study of tissues. Histology is the study of tissues. Okay, so you all know that what is cell? Cell is the structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Group of cells together form tissues. Okay, then what is histology? Study of tissues. Okay, histology is the study of tissues. Who is called the father of plant anatomy? Nehemiah Grew. Now, this tissues or plant tissues are of two types. Name the two types of plant tissues: permanent tissues and meristematic tissue. Okay, meristematic and permanent. Meristematic tissues are actively dividing tissues. So, the plant tissues can be broadly classified into two types based on the ability to divide. First is meristematic and the second one is permanent. Meristematic tissues are actively dividing tissues, okay, present in growing parts of the plant. Now, permanent tissues, you all studied about the permanent tissues. There are two types of permanent tissues, namely simple and complex permanent. Isn't it more simple and complex permanent? Simple permanent tissues are parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. What are the simple permanent tissues? Parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. These are the simple permanent tissues. Then complex permanent tissues are of two types, xylem and phloem. What are they? Xylem and phloem are the two types of complex tissues. Now, this tissues forms the tissue system. Okay, the tissue, button is Sachs classified the tissue systems into three types. Who classified the tissue system into three types? Sachs. Okay, name the three types of tissue system: dermal or epidermal tissue system, ground tissue system and vascular tissue system. Okay, one of the one-word answer. What is the one-word question? Who classified the tissue system? Sachs. Okay, ma'am. Now, which is the outer layer of plant? Which is the outer layer of stem? That is epidermis. Okay, so there are three types of tissue system here recognized. What are they? Sachs recognized three types of tissue system. epidermal tissue system, then ground tissue system and vascular tissue system. First about epidermal tissue system. This epidermis is the protective, epidermis protects the inner tissues. Okay. Next one word is which is the outermost layer of the stem. Which is the outermost layer of the stem, that is epidermis. What is the function of epidermis? It protects the inner tissues. Okay. Then this epidermis contain minute pores called stomata. Epidermal cells contain minute pores called stomata. So the minute pores which are present on the epidermis of stem as well as leaf, that is called stomata. Okay. The function of stomata. Next, the function of stomata is transpiration and gaseous exchange. Mention the function of stomata, transpiration and gaseous exchange. Okay. You know what is transpiration. Transpiration, the excess water evaporated through the pores of the leaf. Okay, that is, the pores are nothing but the stomata. Then gaseous exchange, you all know that plants respire oxygen and release out carbon dioxide. At the time of photosynthesis, plants intake carbon dioxide and release out oxygen. So these gaseous exchange also takes place through the same stomata. Okay. So what are the minute pores present on the epidermis? Epidermis, stomata. Okay. Then this which is the outermost layer of the stem, epidermis. Which is the, what is the function of epidermis? It protects the inner tissue. Stomata are also there, so it also helps in transpiration. Okay, so first about the epidermis. Next, what is the second one is the ground tissue system. Okay, this tissue system includes all the tissues of the plant except the vascular as well as epidermis. There are three types of tissue systems as recognized. First is the epidermal tissue system, that is the outermost layer of the stem. Okay, this which is the outermost layer of the root is rhizodermis or epiblema or piliferous layer. The outermost layer of the root is called epiblema or rhizodermis or piliferous layer. Okay, ma'am. Now, this vascular tissue system. This vascular tissue system consists of the vascular tissues, namely xylem and phloem. Okay, xylem conducts water and mineral salts. What is the function of xylem? Xylem conducts water and mineral salts. Usually, roots absorbs water and mineral salts. It has to transport it to the aerial parts of the plant body through the conductive tissue xylem. Okay, so you all know that normally leaves prepare the food. It has to translocate it to every parts of the plant body through the phloem element. So, what is the function of xylem? Conduction of water and minerals. What is the function of phloem? Conduction of food material. Okay, so these two tissues, xylem and phloem, together forms the complex tissue. Okay, so you all know that simple tissue and complex tissue. Now, there are this vascular bundles. It is of three types, namely radial vascular bundle, conjoint vascular bundle and concentric vascular bundle. There are three types of vascular bundles. What are called vascular bundle? Xylem and phloem occur in bundles or together in bundles called vascular bundles. There are three types of vascular bundles, namely radial, concentric, conjoint. Radial vascular bundles are present in roots. Okay, roots, the radial vascular bundles are present in roots. Then conjoint vascular bundles are of two types, collateral and bicollateral. Bicollateral vascular bundles are present in cucurbits. present in cucurbits. Bicollateral vascular bundles are present in cucurbits. What is bicollateral vascular bundle? Xylem is present in the center. Both sides of xylem, what is present? Phloem. Okay. Both sides. So phloem is present on either side of xylem. That is bicollateral. So one of the one-word question, bicollateral vascular bundles are seen in cucurbits. Then amphivasal vascular bundles. Xylem surrounds the phloem. Okay. Xylem surrounds phloem. Amphivasal vascular bundle. Suppose this is vascular bundle. Amphivasal phloem is there in the center. This is phloem. And xylem is present towards outer or towards periphery. That is amphivasal. Okay. This is xylem. Now, this amphivasal vascular bundles are present in Dracaena. Amphicribral, just opposite. Xylem is present in the center and phloem towards outside. That is amphicribral. Amphicribral vascular bundles are common in ferns. Okay. Next, exarch and endarch. What is exarch? The protoxylem facing towards the periphery and the metaxylem facing towards the center is exarch. Okay. So exarch means protoxylem facing towards the periphery. You all know what is protoxylem, isn't it, ma? Earlier formed xylem or first formed xylem, which is smaller in sizes, protoxylem. Later formed xylem, which is larger in size, is metaxylem. Okay, so protoxylem facing towards the periphery or outside, and metaxylem facing towards the center is exarch. So exarch means protoxylem periphery. Exarch, protoxylem periphery, and metaxylem lies towards the center. Next, endarch. Endarch means protoxylem facing towards the center and metaxylem facing towards the periphery. X means protoxylem periphery and metaxylem center. Endarch means protoxylem center and metaxylem facing towards the periphery. The next one word, exarch condition is seen in roots. Okay, in all roots, both monocots and dicots. Endarch condition is seen in stem. Okay, endarch condition is seen in stem. Exarch condition is seen in roots. Okay, next, which is the outermost layer of the root? Epiblema, rhizodermis or piliferous layer. The outermost layer of the root is epiblema or piliferous layer, or it is rhizodermis. Okay, you know the internal structure of root. What are the structures present internally? This epiblema, cortex, endodermis, stele, pericycle, vascular bundle and pith, isn't it, ma? So which is the outermost layer of the root? Both monocot and dicot root, the outermost layer of the root is epiblema, or it is termed as rhizodermis, or it is termed as this piliferous layer, isn't it? Then, which is the innermost layer of the, next to the endodermis is the cortex. Which is the innermost layer of the cortex? That is endodermis. Okay, which is the innermost layer of the cortex? Endodermis. Which is the outermost layer of the root? Epiblema. The innermost layer of the cortex is endodermis. Some of the endodermal cells just opposite to the protoxylem points are thin-walled. That cells are called passage cells. Some of the endodermal cells which are just opposite to the protoxylem points are thin-walled, called passage cells. So the thin endodermal cells are called passage cells. The remaining cells except the passage cells are called Casparian strips. Okay, Casparian strips. This Casparian, these strips are made up of the substance called suberin. Okay, next, the what about pericycle inner to the endodermis? What is present? A single layer of parenchyma cells constitute pericycle. Next, the vascular bundles are exarchan tetra. In dicot root, there are 4 groups of protoxylem points. So it is termed as tetra. Tetrarch. In dicot root, there are 4 groups of protoxylem points. So it is termed as tetra. But in monocot, many groups of protoxylem points are there. In monocot root, that is termed as polyarch. That is termed as polyarch. What about dicot root, ma? There are 4 groups of xylem. There are 4 groups of protoxylem points or 4 groups of xylem elements. So they are said to be tetra. And exarch. What is exarch? Protoxylem facing towards the periphery. Next about the stem, which is the outermost layer of the stem. That is epidermis. Which is the outermost layer of the root? Epiblema, or it is termed as rhizodermis, or it is termed as piliferous layer. Which is the outermost layer of the stem? Epidermis. Okay. So epidermis is provided with the minute pores called stomata. So in stem, both stem, monocot and dicot stem, the outermost layer is epidermis. It is provided with stomata. So what is the function? Protection, as well as the stomata presence of gaseous exchange and transpiration. Okay. So outermost layer of the stem is epidermis. Then in dicot stem, what is the 3 zones? How many zones are there in cortex? 3. What about in dicot stem? How many zones are there? Zones of cells are there in the cortex? 3. Okay. The 3 zones together called hypodermis. So the cortex is termed as hypodermis in dicot stem. This hypodermis, this cortex is divided into 3 regions. Outer is hypodermis, then middle cortex, and inner cortex. Okay. What about the innermost layer of the cortex in dicot stem also? What about the innermost layer of the cortex? Endodermis. In root also, the innermost layer of the cortex is endodermis. The outermost layer, isn't it? Outermost layer of the root is rhizodermis. Outermost layer of the stem is epidermis. Then the innermost layer of the cortex, both root and stem, endodermis. Okay, ma'am. So endodermal cells are thin. Some of the endodermal cells are thin-walled, called passage cells. Some of the endodermal cells have except the passage cells, the remaining cells contain cells consist of suberin, so it is called Casparian strips. They are called Casparian strips. Now, what about the nature of xylem element in stem is end-dark. Okay, end-dark. What is end-dark? The protoxylem facing towards the center and the metaxylem facing towards the periphery. That is end-dark. So end-dark condition is seen in stem. End-dark condition is seen in stem. Okay, ma'am. Now, the vascular bundles in dicot stem. Vascular bundles are collateral, conjoined, open, and end-dark. Open. What is called open bundle? In between xylem and phloem, there will be the presence of vascular cambium. Such bundles are called open. Okay, open vascular bundles. Open vascular bundles have vascular cambium in between xylem and phloem. So, due to the presence of this open bundle or presence of cambium in between xylem and phloem, there is a possibility of secondary growth. Further growth will be there. So, it is open. Okay. So, dicot stem, the vascular bundles are open. But in monocot stem, vascular bundles are closed. Only primary growth is there in monocot stem. Dicot stem, primary as well as secondary growth is there. So vascular bundles are open in dicots. Okay, mom? Vascular bundles are open in dicots. Vascular bundles are closed in monocots. Closed in monocots. Do you know what are closed and open? Closed vascular bundle, there is absence of cambium in between xylem and phloem. Such bundles are closed. Presence of cambium in between xylem and phloem is open. Open vascular bundles are seen in dicots. Closed vascular bundles are seen in monocots. Okay. So children, you are learning all one word answers today what I told. You have to learn and write in the notebook. We shall meet again in the next class. Okay children. Thank you.